Mackel with HomeBuysBlog.com. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty in Simi Valley, California, answering another Trulia Voices question. And today's question is, how long can I stay in a foreclosure? It's a little more complex question, so I'm going to answer first the pre-foreclosure state and then after the foreclosure state. In the pre-foreclosure state, once you go into default, the bank files what's called a notice of default. This is generally a 90-day period to get you to catch up and bring the loan current. During this 90-day period, if you don't do this, they'll file what's called a notice of sale. This notice of sale period is usually 20 to 21 days, and at the end of that period, your property will be sold off to the highest bidder, which usually ends up being the bank, on the county courthouse steps. At this point, within 24 to 48 hours of this sale, I am contacted by my asset managers at the bank, as are other agents, depending on where your loan is. If I'm assigned your property, my first job is to come to your property, see if you're still living there. If you're still living there, try to find out when you plan on moving out. I'm also there to find out, if you're not there, if you have renters there. This is a very important issue with the new renter protection legislation that came out in May, to know who's on this property. If you are the owner on this property, you will be offered a cash settlement to move out, which is known in the industry as cash for keys. Now, there's some really important issues you need to know about cash for keys. Some banks like to give out a lot of money. Some banks like to give out a little bit of money. Some banks like to give out in the middle. Kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, huh? Well, you have to decide at that point if taking the money is a far better situation than facing an eviction with the sheriff. In my opinion, the cash for keys situation, even if it's a little disruptive because it tends to be a very quick process and they don't give you a lot of time to stay on the property, is far better to go through than pick up the eviction on your credit report. Because now if you're trying to rent property, not only with the bad credit for the foreclosure, you're telling every other landlord out there that you're trouble and you don't go easy and you need to be evicted. They can understand bad credit, bad times, and a foreclosure, but an eviction is a very difficult thing to overcome in a landlord interview looking for rental property. So my opinion is, look seriously at the cash for keys. In the cash for keys agreement, everyone under 18 has to sign it. The check will typically be made out to everyone who signs the agreement. So you'll probably have to go to a bank and cash it and split it up, or whoever it goes to. And you have to leave the property swept clean, broom clean in that exchange. So if you have a lot of things on the property, it can be expensive to clean up just for the exchange. Now, if you're a renter on one of these properties, it's really important to understand that the new legislation gives you some protection that did not exist prior to May of this year. Prior to May of this year, if you're a renter, your lease was gone, you're out of the property. So if you have a lease, the banks now have to honor the leases and keep you in the property if you choose. You may take the cash for keys, and in one situation, I believe the cash for keys for renters is still a better option because the bank doesn't have your security deposit. Your prior landlord has a security deposit, so the bank is probably not going to be held liable to return any security to you at the end of this lease. And because they never collected it, they're not going to have to give you credit for it. So your best situation is to try and get out of the house under a cash for keys program and recoup as much of your security deposit as you can. Otherwise, you can stay till the end of the term, but the things also that kick in, if you're a relative of the prior owner, or if the prior owner made you a sweetheart deal that's below market rents, your lease will be no good. And your lease can be challenged and the bank can get you out earlier, even without the cash for keys settlement. So these are the things you need to be aware of. Other things you need to do is contact an attorney, CPA, an enrolled agent to discuss your tax situation. If you're a property owner in this situation, if you're a renter, try to be patient with this process, as the bank's in just as hard spot as you've been put in by your previous landlord, and everyone can work this out, hopefully without the sheriff coming out. because the unlawful detainer process is not fun and very stressful for everyone. And if you've got any other questions, you can post them up here on Trulia. If someone disagrees with my opinions, that's what all these comments are for, whether it's Trulia, YouTube, or my blog. Love to hear some open discussion on this, and thanks for stopping by.